Yesterday, Google I/O 2025 took place and they released a barrage of new technologies. There's one that stood out to me that I wanted to give a go, and that is Jules, and it competes with things like Codex and GitHub's very recently announced coding assistant. Jules is Google's version of that, so I want to take it for a test spin, try and build a feature for Jupyter Chat that I've wanted to build for quite a while, and I want to let you know kind of the things I encountered and where I think it falls short. So stick around and we're going to dive in and get nitty gritty with it. So the setup was pretty straightforward. You linked your GitHub, you chose your repo, you even could choose your branch, and then you're left with your prompt. What tasks do you want to build into your code base? It's not vibe coding in a traditional sense where it will just build out a brand new app. It takes your existing code and then adds features on top of that. They're called tasks. So you add your new task and then you can iterate on that task until it's complete. But that counts as one task and you get 5 tasks per day. I had my front end and I had my back end, and I was able to set off 2 tasks to integrate this one branching feature that I wanted to add to Jupyter Chat. By the way, I'll add this here. I recorded the whole process and I've uploaded that to my Patreon because it doesn't quite work in the YouTube format. So if you want to see me set up Jules and battle with it and everything in between, and you want to support the channel, then go over to patreon.com/0x505. But in the meantime, let's get back to the video. So after you put in your prompt, it then gives you a plan of action of what you want it to be. One big criticism here is it gives you 20-30 seconds to read through all the changes that it's going to make. Then it will auto approve and just start building. I didn't like how short a time that was. I don't really know why it automatically approved. Once the plan was approved, it got to work and started building out the feature. And when it's done, you'll get the before and after of the files, which again, personally, I think it could be more clear on what code is actually changing. Plus, you can't actually edit the code inside of the code view. It's read only. So you're literally stuck with the prompt mechanism. When you're done, it then asks if you want to commit that back to GitHub and create a pull request, which is fairly straightforward. You go into GitHub, and that's where I feel like the best experience is to see the actual code difference it's going to make. Again, what I'd really like to see is, and this is promised on the homepage, is actually the Jules assistant within GitHub. Theoretically, then you don't even need to enter the Jules website. You can do it all from GitHub, which I think that would be a really nice way to do it, particularly as you get all the nice features of GitHub. I encountered quite a serious problem actually, because for some reason, somehow it assumed it was a Next.js project and built out a Next.js API route to actually do the mutations in the database. Honestly, I don't know why it did that. It's quite clearly a React project, a Vite project inside the package JSON. This is a really, really basic feature that it fell over on. I don't know if you've had a similar experience or whatever, but similarly, I then created a new task, which then counted one more towards my daily task credit of 5. That had no trouble picking up that it was an Express project. I mean, it did update Express, which I feel like it should stick to the task at hand, but regardless, it got the feature done. The back-end integration was totally fine, and I pulled that down and that worked without a hitch. No editing required. But the front end, because it thought it was Next.js, it built out that route, and then I sent another prompt to actually fix that. But it kind of just took a while, and I know this is a brand new tool, and it even warned me that there is increased usage at the moment. I inevitably ended up merging that into develop and pulling it down locally and making some manual changes myself. It did actually hallucinate as well, sort of duplicated a conversation ID, which I had to delete. But after that, I had it running locally on my machine, and I was able to branch from messages, and it worked flawlessly. It's really nice to have the assistant working on the cloud where I can do it from my phone, or when I'm not at a machine and I can't do any code. Set it off to do something, build it. When you get home, it's there, it's ready, and you can merge it or work on it even further. Or you can bring it down and then vibe code, or just, use cursor or however you like to use these sorts of tools and finish the job or increase on the job. But it's a really, really nice experience. It's very rewarding, and it's great just to set it off, do little tasks here or there, again, while you're not on your machine and you just think, oh, when a new AI model gets released, I can just set it off to add that to Jupyter Chat. Also, another thing that I really liked is that it wrote tests not only for the new code that it wrote, but also code that it picked up in the files that it was working on. So this is great. This is something I haven't been able to get working consistently in Cursor or Windsurf. It seems like this is a very test-first or test-driven approach. Jupyter Chat has a front-end and a back-end repo. They're completely separate from each other. I would like to see a way they can take into consideration one or join the two or something like this, so it doesn't have to be like a mono repo to make a cross code-based change. There are pros and cons to both, I realize that, but in my scenario, again, one of the reasons why I built out the Next.js route is because it didn't know that there was a backend. So that's something else to take into consideration. The last little concern I have is really around data privacy. It's a free tool. I'd much rather pay for it than actually give away my data and usage to Google. I don't mind if they're going to use my data if for their own sort of training the tool and things like that. I really don't mind about that, as long as they're not selling that data on and just giving it away, which Google have been known to do. So overall, Jules, fantastic tool. I really suggest you give it a try, and I look forward to seeing how it develops because it's still in public beta. Right, cheers for tuning in. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to all my Patreons, and thank you to watching to the end. And until next time, keep on vibing.